I will try to express my human condition. Before I go into my bodily um, difficulties, which is part of my human condition at 63 years old, um, I should point out that there are people who loudly proclaim that they know me better than I represent myself. More of them from Pittsburgh than anywhere else. If you are such a one, just between me and you, I know that it's pointless to say anything to you. To those who are unconvinced of my self representation, I point out that Kathy, who loved me and lived with me in both Maine and Montana, had considered coming to Chatham College in Pittsburgh. She traveled all the way from Montana to Pittsburgh by bus. She met Ross and she saw what was surrounding me. She begged out. I did not blame her. We were very friendly when we parted ways, and I still think very, very highly of her. That should tell you something about what Greg Carl penned as my persona and what Peter Gabriel has been up to all these years. Even though he heckled and harassed me in Montana, for her, it didn't mean anything at all. She was still my girlfriend, and we stayed living together. She came all the way to Pittsburgh from Montana by bus just to say goodbye. The people who did this to me justified Mount Desert Island. The noose got tighter and tighter around my neck while they lied to my face, claimed that they loved me, were my friends, and that they simply couldn't bear that I was telling the truth about what was done to me as a child. The city of Pittsburgh, the NAACP, Hop Kendricks, Seattle, Washington, which was my Rafa safe zone, the place where I got bombed the most severely, tortured, again, sided with the city of Pittsburgh in representing Will Zell as defending Leslie Katz, a Jewish girl, from my oh so threatening crying letter. So, defending the NAACP's position about the JDL, forcefully extolling Joseph Goebbels. Let's switch over from Zell to Zelensky, the leader in Ukraine, who is Jew from television, beamed down from Star Trek, so to speak, into the presidency. People on network TV in America, Republican Party mouthpieces, asked, is there a contradiction? If he's Jewish, how can he be a leader of the Nazis? Let's go back from Zelensky to Zell. Isn't there a contradiction? How can he be a leader of the Jewish Defense League if he extols Joseph Goebbels? Did I make that up? You can see it in his own handwriting. And furthermore, the Green Party is united behind him. The Black Panthers thought it was funny. That's a lot of sickos from a smorgasbord. And they kept firing attack prostitutes at me and saying I was too stupid to be suspicious enough to investigate. Me, too stupid to investigate. I couldn't possibly be trying to figure out what was going on, they said. Oh, and they have a theme. Two Virgins from John Lennon and Yoko Ono, a sacred celibacy theme. After you score a virgin, you're done. That's the name of the mousetrap. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, bonk. Ooh. Doop, 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 doop. Splash. Smorgasbord game. And behind the curtain, the madman, the wizard, the, what was it, October 6th? January 6th. The January 6th crowd that overtook the wizards' uh, control panel in the land of Oz. The January 6th run on Oz. The new wizard, Paul McCartney, with his Kenyan passport and Australia birthplace, or whatever, said I deserved to have any woman I loved betray me because their implant had made me jealous. And he was avenging John Lennon. Zal Lennon Uspensky. Golly G. Green. Golly Green G. Willikers. That's a lot of tall telling. A whole lot of tall telling from their storybook forest, which they want to have a Brothers Grimm ending. When the man who tortured me is all forgive. And in pursuant to this, they've committed an eternal crime. They claim that they're Christians, but it's just a terrifying incompetence when it comes to social and civil norms. And they shrug it off by saying the world is imperfectible. You will only find so and so under their Caligula stuff, which is all it is. I mean, killing people, raping them, bombing them. They have a mania that they call civics, that not one single person is direct, intelligent, or humane enough to call them on it. Nobody. You expect me to waive what really happened, to consent to being a victim of organized, depraved inhumanity? Will Zell said exactly what I claimed he said when he said it, how he said it, and why he said it is clear. It was a notarization against the human species being able to make a bid for self-care, against what H.G. Wells called Morlocks, preying on Eloi. Huns attacking the innocent instead of schools and healthcare. And our politicians are behind it. The doctors in the hospitals who care vote for people who they assume will care back. And what do we end up with? Medical murder instead of civil representation. If you feel strongly that it's important for children to fathom that in sexual intercourse you bring life into the world, by all means, make that part of the curriculum. Don't pretend that you are teaching that by brutalizing and trafficking a deaf child. Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf, Gallaudet University, and the Oval Office have all openly advocated for this insane war game from Biden and Trump called Two Virgins. And the British think it's holy because it comes from their best rock band or their favorite rock band or something. Their most memorable rock band. And they label academic disputes forbidden territory. It's a forbidden fruit to say that Apple Records was in the loop of a Hollywood Houdini, a magic show, a trick to control our politics. And it's huge. And its success rate is sky high. How could they resist? You say they didn't do it? All the evidence shows they did it. And they never warned anybody. They never tried to care about anybody. They never tried to protect anybody. They never tried to tell the truth. We're always talking about speaking truth to the power. Nobody speaks truth to the powerless. When is the powerful going to tell the truth to the powerless? And it's dangerous if you don't have power to tell truth to the powerless. And evidently, it's very dangerous if you have power to tell truth to the powerless. When are we going to grow up? When are we going to grow up? People who make a burlesque of the whole thing say, I invented television representation of pretty Japanese girls getting it on with whoever. They think I did that. And they refuse to address it maturely. I get bonkers cables from citizengrams who trace my views in poetry, like about Benjamin Linder, the kid who got killed in Nicaragua from around here in Washington, Seattle, and say, this proves you're an atheist. Because in their minds, that's all they need to say. They say it's just me, but the guy's obviously an atheist if he believes that Benjamin Linder was uh, uh, heroic. And that works for them. And the police say, well, go ahead and take it out on him. We'll look away. And the civil administration kept me out of school. I graduated at the top of my class. How absurd does it have to get? It gets pretty absurd. Now, I'll finish up by talking about I'm heartbroken. McCartney would say, oh, she loves you, and then rip her away, we hate you. Oh, she loves you, and then rip her away, we hate you. Until I was in seizures, convulsing on the sidewalk and vomiting from this neuroplasm. It led to Parkinson's, horrifying threats. Deafness, trauma. It poisoned me in the mouth. And Toon is playing this roadshow game with Yoko Ono of all of the merry women who would gladly get it on to finish the job for him and her, for the Donohues.